Hey, David Huffman here, and thanks for taking a little bit of your time here to kind of listen to my opinion on what one of the most important things that's going on in our industry today that we're not doing anything about. We're not talking about it. We're not trying to change it, and we really can't change it right now unless we do something really big and different. And wanted to come to you today and kind of just share my opinion. For those of you that don't know me, really quick, I've been in the business for about 20 years. Always selling residential real estate. Was a broker owner for about 15 of those years. I've done over 1,000 transactions personally, over 6,000 transactions via my team, and founded a YPN there in Little Rock, Arkansas, back in the day. Been realtor of the year, blah blah blah. Right, been around the block, but it's all been traditional residential real estate, and I've been looking for kind of what I see is what the biggest problem is that we're having in our industry, and that is our MLSs. Our MLSs right now, we are paying dues and fees, somewhere between 300 to maybe $500 or $600 a year just for the MLS portion, and we're giving them all of our data. We're giving them all of our listing data, right? They give you a software to be able to input your listing data, and then from that point forward, they can do whatever they want to do with your data. And when they do that, they make good money by sending this data to a lot of the big, websites, national websites that are out there. And then, as we all know, those websites turn back around and try to sell us the leads off of that data, our data, back to us. And I'm not really I'm more of a half glass full guy, and I hope you can kind of hear my voice of kind of how upset and kind of how pissed off I am about this. But the truth is, it's never going to change. We'll never get control of our data back again by waiting and relying upon MLSs to try to change their rules and regulations. It's gone. It's done. The web has been weaved with all these third party companies. Some of these companies have 10-year contracts with local MLSs, and it's too far to be able to be undone, in my opinion. So let me ask you a quick question here. How many, out of all the listings that you took last year, okay, think about that. Or maybe over the course of your entire career, how many listings have you taken? How many listings have you inputted into the local MLS? Now, how many times has somebody seen each one of those listings on all the third party websites? The Zillows, the Realtor.coms, the Homes.com, back in the day, even the Craigslist, like just all the different places that our listing information is syndicated to, Remax.com, KellerWilliams.com, EXPRealty.com, right? And how many leads do you think has been created by every single one of your listings? Right? So do the simple math. How many listings do you have? Do you think every listing that you put out there got 5 leads, 10 leads, 20 leads, 50 leads? Multiply those two numbers together. And that's how many leads technically you missed out on because your MLS has agreed to not allow or not require those leads to come back to you as a listing agent, right? So take that one step deeper. So out of all those leads, how much more business would you have been able to get because of the listing business that you went out there and got? How many more closings would you have been able to have with all of those leads, right? And we're not getting that. Then here we are trying to buy back some of those leads, or other agents are buying those leads and trying to, convert, et cetera. And so that the whole process is really broken. So my goal today is kind of just to share a little bit about my envisionment of the future. What is the future MLS look like? In my opinion, what does the national MLS look like if there was one? And there's two guiding rules that I have for it. One, the agents and the brokers and the agents must get paid for their data. Okay. It's past the times where MLSs should be bloodsuckers of the money that we pay them and that they make because of our data. So the agents must get paid for their data. And I'm going to show you how I've kind of solved that problem. Number two is that every single listing portal in the world, all the big major third-party companies that have all the MLS information on it, okay, that they must be required to send the listing agent the lead that comes from their listing for free as well. Okay, so part of this process today that I'm going to share with you is my formula and how I figured out how we can not only get paid for our data as agents, but also be able to get the leads from our listings for free. Because that is our data. There's no reason why we should be getting those leads back for free from our listings. And this is obviously going to help us compound our business over the years as well. So the first thing is I put a name on it. I've called it The One MLS, and you're probably here at the website, the1mls.com. So the first thing is there needs to be one MLS. One MLS. So I'll get into kind of the software here in a minute, but that one MLS, most of these software companies that the MLSs are using they were built 20 years ago. So we need one new MLS software system for agents to be able to input their data that uses today's tech, not 20-year-old tech. Okay, so that's kind of number one, I guess you would say, as far as the whole entire envisionment that I have for this. The other side of this is, think about it for a minute. If we as agents agree that we want to become our own MLS, okay, then that means that we have only one rules and regulations to follow that are the rules and regs that we develop for our MLS. Okay. Most of the rules and regs that are out there, you got all these 580 different MLSs coming up with all these different rules and regs and fines and fees and whatever else. And although there needs to be governmental controlling of the agents, so we have good data being put in, et cetera, and rules being followed, there's no need to have 580 different MLSs telling Fort Lauderdale what they should do, but then you go up to, you go down into Miami, they're telling you something completely different, right? And then you go up to Tallahassee, you got a whole other MLS you got to join, and they're telling you something completely different. So we are licensed as a state. So here's my envisionment. With this MLS, the one MLS, you're not bound to just your local market. Your super key card doesn't just work for your local market. It works for the entire state. You got a license to sell in your state. You didn't get a license to sell in your small little market. But because of the way this has been created with the realtor organization and the local MLSs, it's forced us to kind of suppress us to only be able to sell in that small market. If not, we got to come up with a lot of more fees and rules to follow in these other markets as well. Some of you guys I've heard literally have 5 different MLSs because of you live in kind of a tri-state area that you've got to join, and all of them have their different rules and regs. So in my envisionment with the one MLS, that your entire state will be followed by one rule. Like you will have a governing body that you have your rules and regs, not only the national side, but also any kind of state level rules and regs that need to be implemented as well. But your license, your super key card would work for that entire state. You want to sell in a market that's 200 miles away to your best friend and you're willing to go over there and do that? Well, you have a license to be able to do that. You shouldn't need to go ask permission from the local MLS to be able to do that, in my opinion. So that's another kind of piece to this. Break that down a little bit further. If we do have this one MLS, then that also means that not only do you have access to the entire state's MLS information, but what if even your personal websites started to have a national MLS on them, right? We can employ that into our MLS, meaning that when your friend or family member is looking to move off to a different state, they don't have to go to one of the big third-party website companies to be able to find that data. They can still go to your personal website. And with your personal website, then they can click to ask for more information. And now, of course, your license is going to work for that particular state, but it gives you the opportunity to be able to refer that business out to somebody else, right? And be able to keep more of your friends and family in your network going to your website, getting the good data, and along with getting the national data all into one site. So there's a lot that has to happen here. So number one of the things we have to do is I have to create the software for the MLS company itself, right? So using today's tech, starting from scratch. We've actually kind of already started that process. We've been employing people here the last couple of months to kind of get that process kicked off. And so that is all being, roadmapped out as we speak. And it's been in process for a little bit of time now. But we've got to have that software. The second thing we've got to have a consumer-facing national website. So something that basically that all the leads come back to the listing agent, something for the consumers to be able to go and get updated information from, no matter what state that they're in or what state they're searching for properties in. So we've got to kind of create that from scratch as well. The third thing is we've got to come up with the rules and regulations of the MLS. And that's kind of two parts. One is how do we govern the agents across the country? So we're working with some of the top MLS rules and regs people to actually create those rules and regs that all agents across the country will abide by. And then on a state level, they'll be a little bit tweaked as well, depending on each state to state's rules that they have. Excuse me, each state rules that they may have specific and different than what our national rules would include. But the other piece of the MLS is our vendor feed. We obviously want our data to get out there. We want our data to be on all these third-party websites. So it helps with getting more exposure. Not everybody's just going to love our personal consumer website. They're going to want to go to these other websites. The problem is that the agreements that are already in place with the local MLS with these third-party vendors, we can't change those. With ours, though, once the data starts getting put in from fellow agents like yourself listening to this today, then eventually those third-party vendors are going to have to come to us for our feed. And then we can require them at that stage to the listing agent being able to get the lead for free from their listing data. And we can define exactly what that means, right? And in order to get our feed, they have to agree to that. So by doing it this way, I really feel it's the only way that we can really take back control of our data, get paid for it again, and really as agents ensure kind of our future. As these big tech companies keep going, a lot of these people have never even sold real estate, and they're selling millions of dollars a year or a month in real estate. We've got to kind of do something. So and I kind of went through things really quick today, and this is just literally an off-the-cuff video that I wanted to do, but this is my mission. My mission is to really lead this movement, lead this charge, but I'm going to need your help. And from the beginning, I've been funding a lot of this pre-development stuff all on my own. I'll continue to do that, but I'm going to need help. This is not an easy feat by any stretch. So two reasons I'm going to ask you today to consider donating something to this cause. One is just because you believe in it. So whether you give $1 or $2 and just to kind of show that that's your vote, that, hey, listen, we do want this change, or that you want this change, and that you can see there's a need for this type of change in our industry, that'll kind of help me know that, hey, what we're really trying to do really is being absorbed by the real estate agent population, and it is something that we need to continue working down. The other side of it is obviously the financial aspect. This tech and creating these 3 different companies at exactly the same time is not easy. It is already, but it's going to be a major hurdle that we have to overcome. And the $350,000 that I'm trying to raise right now really is just going to get us a minimum viable product. And I'm doing it as cheap as I can with negotiating and stuff, and using all my real estate agent skills over the years to get us a minimum viable product as cheaply as possible. But this really is something that's going to take tens of millions of dollars over the course of the next couple of years to really make it what we would want it as agents, and to ensure that we're getting back control of our data and our leads once again. So obviously, if you're a big listing agent, the way I kind of broke it down, you can click the button below and choose a dollar amount. You're welcome to choose any dollar amount at all. If you're a big listing agent, I think you should consider donating a little bit more, mainly because this is going to have a lot larger impact on your personal business, because you're going to be able to get all the leads back for one nominal price. We're thinking like a yearly fee of around $350, maybe $450 a year for a national MLS. So we're not trying to get in the pockets of the agents per se. The cool thing though is that I've already made the pledge that 50% of our revenue that's brought in by agents will be paid out to agents. Okay. So a lot of this money, half of the money that we're bringing in dues is going to be paid right back out to our agent network. And this is the way that I want to get agents paid for their data again that they're inputting into us, and not just be taking all that data away and then everybody else is making all this money on the flip side, and not worried about protecting the agent. So if you want to take this stand with me, click the button below, make a donation that you feel that is adequate, and I would greatly appreciate it. And any questions that you have, contact information is everywhere. You're welcome to reach out and kind of share. Even on our donation page, you can kind of share your comments down there below. I'm going to read all of those, so please take a time to kind of fill that out and let me know kind of where your thoughts are. For those that do donate at least $100 or more, you're going to get an invitation at the end of each week. You'll get an invitation to be able to join a private Facebook group, and that's where we're going to be sharing kind of the features, the technology. You can share, you can upvote, let us know things that you like, you don't like, things that we can change, because this is our time to develop really what we want, from the very get-go. So it's exciting times, it's crazy times, but it's time for change. And the only way that I see doing that is to stay outside of the Realtor organization and create our own MLS, national MLS, for scratch. So I really do appreciate your time in listening to this. Please share this if you do donate. Please share. There's some ways to share on social media. I need all the help I can get. I'm just a one-man band as far as myself goes. So any help that you can get, if you guys know of any podcasts that you'd like for me to get on, and you guys can ask the hard questions, I'm happy to do that as well. But let's bind together and let's create our own one MLS, and ensure our future. Talk to you soon. Bye for now.